So good to have you here with us at Wednesday Night Live. We're so grateful you're present, and I'm especially grateful because there's some big game going on in town or something. And so what I promise is that we will not be shouting about any scores that occur and give away the score for the Avalanche game tonight because you've decided to be here with us. And so if you're interested, you're probably recording the game or doing whatever you're going to do. We're going to be present here tonight, all of us except maybe Nathan in the back of the room who'll be watching the game on his phone. So hopefully I'll have sound. We'll just have to see. Thank you. And I'm so grateful that we've got beautiful music. Just like always, we have our wonderful band here tonight. Yay, Kent Rautenstrauss and Rob Lowe, Mike Marlier, and our amazing music director, Mr. Tom Litch, who's also in the band and singing tonight. Let's go, Tom.
All right, let's come together. You guys get to sing on this too. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, God loves you and I love you too. Now feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. Oh, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. Here we go. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, I recognize the God in you. Now feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, from every walk of life, oh, every creed and color. In this should we unite. Oh, in honor of the God in each other. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, Namaste, I bow to you. Now feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. Thank you. Well, we are here to support Dr. Michelle, who is here, and we'll be talking about the book that Brene Brown. I love Brene Brown. How many of you love Brene? Ah, man. For a Virgo who is very logically minded, for someone who's finding out what my number might be in the Enneagram, having an encyclopedia for emotion has been very helpful for me. And the rest of the band also said they have no idea what emotion is, and so we're gonna sing some songs that might evoke some emotion in the band, and you guys can just enjoy what we're doing. This one is it's an old song by Bob Dylan, and we're gonna do it in a slightly different way. When the rain is flowing in your face and and the whole world is on your case, I will offer you a warm embrace to make you feel my love. Evening shadows and the stars appear. There is no one to dry your tears. I will hold you for 1,000,000 years to make you feel my love. I know you haven't made your mind up yet, and I will never do you wrong. I know it from the start that we met. We could be together so long. I'd go hungry, I'd go black and blue. I'd go crawling down the avenue. Oh, there is nothing that I wouldn't do to make you feel my love. Storms are raging and there's nothing there on the highway of despair. The winds of change are blowing in the wind. You ain't seen nothing yet. I could make you happy, make your dreams come true. There is nothing that I wouldn't do. Go to the ends of the earth for you to make you feel my love. To make you feel my love. To make you feel my love. If you didn't get all those lyrics, neither did I when I listened to Bob Dylan singing it. But man, he's a poet. This next song is called Compassion. It's by my friend Jamie Lula. And I love that Jamie lets me sing his songs. And every time I do, he'll see a recording of it online and he'll send me a message saying, good job, or, you know, man, don't ever sing that again because you sing it better than me or something funny. So, but he's one of my favorite songwriters. This is called Compassion. Grateful for your tenderness when life can be unkind. Grateful for the way you see when I'm stuck inside my mind. Grateful for the courage to hold your steady ground. I'm grateful for compassion when mine cannot be found. Friends bounds. Grateful for the way you take my hand and you turn my head around. I'm grateful for the healing, the warmth of your embrace. I'm grateful for compassion to touch a deeper place. Oh, compassion where broken hearts breathe. Sweet compassion when my soul's in need. I find compassion for friends and enemies. My own compassion is where my spirit breathes. Make me, mold me, shape me, shift me to all that I should be, that I may express my endless compassion. That is where I want to be. Oh, compassion where broken hearts bleed. Sweet compassion when my soul's in need. I find compassion for friends and enemies. My own compassion is where my spirit breathes. Oh. Thank you.
Ah, wonderful. Thank you so much, Tom. Thank you so much to our wonderful band tonight. Wow, that's great. Thank you. I'm going to hand you my glasses here. I'm a brand new glasses wearer like all the time, and I was noticing on the introduction that they were kind of foggy, so I tried to clean them with hand sanitizer, and that didn't work very well. So I'm not going to worry about it. I have some friends here guests here from Arizona that I want to acknowledge, and my good friend Liz Martin is back there in the back. Hi, Lizzie. Welcome from Arizona. She's traveling and doing business here. My friend Patty Henthorne is here right in the front. Hi, Patty. Welcome. Thank you. My mother, Linda Frizzy, is here also. Now, she's normally a guest, but she's becoming a snowbird, so she's going to be here all summer, and I promise I won't introduce you every time you come to church, Mom, okay? So, no problem. But I'm glad you're here. And, of course, my husband in the front row, Ken. So, yay, Ken. He's not a guest, though. He's a part of us. So that song that Tom just sang, Compassion, is a perfect song to start off our exploration of Atlas of the Heart by Brené Brown. I love her work like many of you do. I think she's one of the most innovative and powerful speakers and writers and authors that has shown up in our world. And we are so thrilled that she's been here on our stage at Mile High Church and spoken here a number of years ago. And I've read all of her books, taught from them, taught classes and workshops and book studies. And this one in particular is really powerful and juicy, very full. I had a really hard time extrapolating things from this chapter. So before I get to the chapter, I do want to spend a little time kind of getting into why this book. This book appeals to me not only because it's Brené Brown, whom I adore, but it also appeals to me because I think that emotions and feelings are one of the most important things for us to be comfortable with on the planet. In my life, my own dance with emotions is, I won't tell you the whole story, but I've often shared about how I was raised with a father who I would say was probably a pretty emotional guy who had a history and had learned from his family how to be with emotions, just like all of us had. But he was kind of a controlling, extremely controlling person. He could have all the emotions he wanted to have, but the rest of us could only be emotional if he gave us permission, which he usually would not. And so therefore, I grew up learning to be very afraid of my feelings and emotions, learning to stuff my feelings and emotions, learning to be a good girl and not share my feelings or emotions, or to assess what kind of mood is the man in today. Is it okay for me to feel what I'm feeling? And so it was very much a coping mechanism to not feel my feelings. And I discovered it was just easier to hide everything I was feeling, just easier to put it aside. Quite frankly, there were times when I watched the violence in our home that I felt like not feeling my emotions saved my life. Because to feel my emotions could get me into real dangerous trouble. And so as I got older, though, I could feel how there was something not right inside of me. That I felt like there was a depth of feeling inside of me that would often get inspired by music or just by the state of humanity. I had huge love inside of me. I had melancholy and sadness and tears, and I was sad about things that had happened. But I was the kind of person that if those emotions started to come up, I would just push them right down. And in fact, if I went to go talk about how I was feeling, I would often start to shake, and I wouldn't be able to express myself, and nothing would come out. I would just freeze. And luckily I have a mother who's very in touch with her emotions. She was on the same journey, but between her support and the support of this church and going to workshops and classes and doing my work in those situations and going to ministerial school, I eventually reclaimed my emotional voice. And it's the greatest gift I've ever had. I'm now the kind of person that I can talk about every emotion openly. I am never uncomfortable if people get emotional. Everything from anger and rage to sadness and fear. I can stand with people in their emotions. And I'm so proud of having reclaimed my own emotional life that I am a messy crier. And I don't like people taking my tears away. In fact, I almost always refuse Kleenex when I'm crying because I spent so many years not allowing myself to have tears of joy or tears of sadness or tears of upset, that now that I've got the gift of tears, I want to experience every one of those tears. And so I don't care if there's snot running down my nose, out of my nose, and there's tears. I'm going to feel my feelings, gosh darn it, because I fought real hard to get them back. And I also know that discovery, that journey, even though it was hard and I was angry with my father for years, that journey has given me one of the greatest gifts of my life. It's a deep feeling sense. So though I can tell you I might not have said, hey, when I get to life, I'd like to have a father who suppresses all my emotions and doesn't let me feel. Looking back now with perspective, I can say that dance that he and I did has led me to fight hard for my heart, to fight hard to feel my feelings and emotions. And that's one of the great things about who I've become and what I allow to be in my life. And what I notice about this now is looking back is that I also believe in teaching other people. I will often say in classes, I don't ever want to hear anybody apologize for crying. I don't like it when people start crying and immediately we say, I'm sorry. Stop being sorry for crying. It's like, yay, you're crying. What's going on? Tell us all about it. That's how I'm the obnoxious one like that, right? And so, but I've noticed in looking around at life, there's not a lot that supports us, even if you didn't have a father like mine, in our emotional education, is there? We lean heavily in our culture to teaching people how to be intelligent and to use their brains. We teach people the importance of going out and getting a good job and making a living. We teach people a lot through our culture about the importance of how you look and what you've got. But we don't teach people the importance of your emotional life. In fact, often it's quite the opposite. People who are too emotional sometimes get lobbed into the category of unhealthy, too dramatic. Well, they've got mental health issues. Look how emotional they are. But the reality, I think, that is true is that those of us who are in touch with our emotions and who can feel our emotions and who have, through whatever knocks and challenges in life, are poised to have the greatest connection with our living, and that it's extremely vital that we learn to dance with and be with our emotional life. And there are 3 reasons that I think it's important. Now, I haven't gotten into Brené's work yet. And the truth is, Brené Brown is an amazing researcher who backs everything up she does with research. I tend to be this is Michelle's experience of it. So I'm not the researcher she is, but through the living of life and through the hard knocks of life, here are 3 reasons that I would implore all of us to become comfortable with our emotional life. The first one is our own health and well-being. Emotional, mental, spiritual, every way that you can imagine. Someone who can be with their emotions. See, we often think, if I open that can of worms of how sad I am, or open that can of worms of my anger, I will never stop. I'll never stop crying. I'll never stop being angry. But we've heard many times from healthcare workers and from mental health care workers, look, not crying or starting to cry won't kill you, but never crying will definitely kill you. And the reason is because when we stuff and emotion is energy in motion. We have been created by that whatever designed this universe to be emotional beings. And for us to not give ourselves permission to feel and be with our emotions is unhealthy. It's not who we are meant to be. It's stuffing an important aspect of us. And when we do that, we can feel that it truly impacts our physical, emotional, mental health. And so when we start to say, I want to be a healthy person, we start to get help if we don't know how to deal with our emotions, even if it's emotions from our past, from our childhood, from times that as we were growing up, whatever it might be. And shameless plug here, Dr. Raz and I are about to facilitate, there's Dr. Raz right there, yay, the Inner Child Journey next month in July. And it's a Friday night, July 15th, and all day Saturday. And it's an opportunity to really deepen and get in touch with those emotions. If you'd like to register for that workshop, you can. And I'm here to tell you that we have a number of scholarships, and people aren't taking us up on them. If you want a scholarship, talk to me or Raz, and we'll get you hooked up. Okay, so it's an amazing workshop, and it's been one of the most amazing workshops that I've been involved with, that I've watched for myself and other people really learn to get in touch with their emotional life and really learn that healing journey. It's also important because full living includes the full range of emotions. Here's the reality. Full living includes the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. That's what being human is. And when we are unwilling to embrace our emotions, to feel our sadness at what we're seeing going on in the world, to feel our sadness about how we feel about losing someone, or that grief, or that joy and happiness about the good things that are going on in our lives, and we just feel like the best way to live is just to be kind of in the neutral zone, we're missing the full spectrum experience of this human life. And I have stood at the bedsides of people many times who are on their way to the next plane of existence. And not a single one of them have ever said, boy, I'm sure glad I didn't feel so much in this lifetime. Quite the opposite. I wish I would have opened my heart more. I wish I would have let myself really feel all of it. I regret it. So it's about the full spectrum of living. And lastly, the reason I would argue that we want to feel our emotions is that in our teaching, our founder Ernest Holmes talks about how we can change our thinking and change our lives, but he talks about how just thinking something positive doesn't do it for us. We've got to also be able to feel the joyful feelings of the good that we want to experience in our life. One who's cut themselves off from all emotion can't do that. So as a creator, a co-creator in life, or someone who believes fervently in never feeling your feelings because it's dangerous or it's bad or it's wrong or it's unhealthy or it's not right or whatever story we're being told, we're missing the rich opportunity as we envision the dreams and the desires of our heart to color them up and add that extra oomph of emotion. To imagine that job that I want to have and feel how happy I am in it and how fun it is and how alive I feel. That's not available to any of us if we're playing that game of, I don't do emotions, I don't do feelings. It's only if we can deepen into that we can have that kind of co-creative experience. So the bottom line is that reclaiming that aspect of our lives is a powerful way of living. Now, if we get into Brené's work, her research, and the reason she wrote this book, she opens the book with a quote from Rumi. And she says, "Heart is sea, language is shore, whatever sea includes will hit the shore." She's talking a lot about, in this book, she shares her story, as I just did, about her feeling life and emotional life through her family of origin. And she's talking about how we don't have the language for feelings and emotions. She said, "I learned that if understanding power and the connection between the way we feel, think, and act was my superpower, numbing was my kryptonite." And I think that's the challenge for us in our culture right now. We're looking for ways always to numb out our feelings, especially the bad ones, right? That's our kryptonite. It just keeps us so disconnected. She said, "I finally realized that trying to outrun and outsmart vulnerability and pain is choosing a life defined by suffering and exhaustion." That's another thing. It's exhausting to hold it all in all the time. I don't think we realize how exhausting that is. So all of that allowed her to step into this wonderful research. She wrote books about shame and about leadership and being brave. And she said that over the course of 15 years of doing her work, that she did surveys with people about emotions and feelings. She said she did over 7,000 surveys and asked people to identify feelings. And she said they came up with 3 feelings: happy, sad, angry. That was it. And she knew that was just not enough. So she did an online course, and she really dug into working with these online students about the nature of feeling and emotions and naming them. And they came up with 150 different feelings and emotions that she then worked with a group of therapists using sort of a green light, yellow light, red light system to quantify and qualify what they meant and how these therapists would use them in practice with their clients. And they came up with this book. She said what came out of this book is an atlas, a map of the heart, of emotions. And you can read the book. It's full, as I said, chock full. It's so full I'm not even going to get the whole chapter in that I've brought tonight. I'm going to do a chapter tonight and a chapter next week. I've chosen chapters that really appeal to me. There is an HBO Max special that she recorded. If any of you want to watch that, I found that to be really informative and powerful along with the book and very interesting. And I chose, she has all the chapters start with the places we go with, and I said others. I chose the places we go with others tonight. In this chapter, she talks about compassion, pity, empathy, sympathy, boundaries, and comparative suffering. I chose this chapter because I think most of us, especially now with so much going on, have a hard time having compassion for ourselves, and we're struggling with compassion for other people. She talks right away about how sometimes we avoid compassion because we think if I'm compassionate with someone else, I have to be willing to feel what they're feeling. And gosh darn it, I got enough going on over here already. I don't need to be feeling what you're feeling. Compassion and empathy. But she says very clearly, here's the deal. Compassion and empathy are not about walking in another's shoes. It's about walking in your shoes alongside people. And that there are wonderful ways to be compassionate and empathic with people that allow us to feel the greatest aspect of our heart coming alive and allow us to connect from a human to human standpoint. And I know for me, as I look around the world, I think that's kind of what's missing in a lot of places. We just are losing our capacity to be compassionate with people we don't like, we don't understand, we don't agree with. And so we're just yelling and screaming at each other a lot. And it might be people on the TV or people far away or people in our own homes that we disagree with or we don't understand. And so I chose this chapter because I felt like learning a little bit more about how to become compassionate would be of service to myself and anybody else who's listening to this message. She says compassion was looked at by her researchers. They asked, what's the most effective way to be in connection with and in service to someone who's struggling without taking their issues on as your own? And she said that the definition of compassion to her and to the researchers is compassion is the daily practice of recognizing and accepting our shared humanity so that we treat ourselves and others with loving kindness and we take action in the face of suffering. I thought that was really interesting. And I've thought so many times about how I've been at the bedside of someone who's ill, for example, and how I can feel my compassion rising up for them as they're going through what they're going through. But I also know that I have felt compassionate as they needed a glass of water and I could help feed them. That action comes with, here, can I help you get a glass of water? Can I take you to the practitioners? Can I sit with you here for just a few minutes in quiet? That compassion isn't just a feeling, it's also taking action. It's fueled by the understanding, she says, that all human beings struggle, that all of us are the strongest beings you could ever imagine, and that all of us also struggle. And that when we have compassion, we never make each other wrong when someone is struggling. We understand that everyone's struggle is a struggle we could face someday, and we have compassion for them. And she says this is very different, and she likes to distinguish this between pity and rescuing. Yeah, I see some knowing smiles out there. And I'm seeing them on you online too, watching. Because it can be really hard. How do I have compassion for someone but not pity them? Not have pity for them? She says there's nothing worse than feeling pitied. And we have the research to show us why it feels so isolating. Pity involves 4 elements. A belief that the suffering person is inferior in some way. A passive, self-focused reaction that does not include providing any help. A desire to maintain emotional distance and avoidance of sharing in the other person's suffering. She says, since compassion is a daily practice and empathy is a skill set that's one of the most powerful tools of compassion, the most effective approach to meaningful connection combines compassion with cognitive empathy. In the simple terms, she says that pity is like saying that we're standing above someone saying, oh, poor baby, I'm so sorry for you. And how that doesn't, think about that when somebody's done that to you. It doesn't feel good, does it? It doesn't feel like compassion. It doesn't feel like they're with me. It feels like, yeah, there's a big thumbs down to that for sure. And so she shares Teresa Wiseman's 4 attributes of this kind of empathy, cognitive empathy, that I'd like to share with you now. It's if you are wanting to practice true compassion or true empathy with someone. Here are the elements of these. Perspective taking. Being willing to be with a person and really hear their perspective on the situation. And asking questions, like asking questions about what their experience is like. Remember now, it's not ever solving the problem. This is what we do too much. We think compassion and caring for someone is solving the problem. Well, you know what you should do about that. That is not compassion. That is not empathy. Not even saying, well, you know, when that's happened to me, here's what I've done. That, again, is not what we're talking about. It's being present, which kind of leads into the second one. Just staying out of judgment and just listening to the person. Putting no value on what they're saying, just being a listening person. And recognizing emotion and feeling and asking myself, how can I touch something within myself that helps me identify and connect with what this person might be feeling? And check in and ask about what you're hearing. Ask questions. So does that mean you're feeling really left out? Does that mean you're feeling really abandoned? Tell me more about what that means for you. That's that compassionate response. And she says sometimes communicating our understanding about the emotion. Sometimes that's an elaborate and detailed, oh, I really get it because when you have this happen, then that can happen and you can feel, I can understand that. And then she also says sometimes it's as simple as, and she uses an expletive I will not use, that's hard. I get it. I get it. That sounds hard. And there's no solving, there's no pity, there's nothing but I'm here with you. I'm walking alongside you and I'm here with you. She added also a fifth one from author Kristen Neff, practicing mindfulness. This is not pushing away emotion because it's uncomfortable, but feeling it and moving through it. Now it also is not sympathy. She says that when someone says, I feel sorry for you, or I'm so sorry, or that must be terrible, that's not compassion either. She distinguishes that as sympathy, and it's similar to pity. She says rather than conveying the powerful me too of empathy, it communicates, not me, and then adds, but I do feel sorry for you. I do feel sorry for you. Kind of glib like that, right? Doesn't that feel kind of slick and glib? And so she really, really encourages us not to fall into pity or sympathy, but using this empathy to be with other people as a tool towards compassion. She did say, I'll share one last thing here, that researchers found that cancer patients on the receiving end of sympathy describe it as an unwanted, superficial, pity-based response that, although well-intended, is focused on the observer's discomfort, rather than on alleviating the patient's distress. Patients prefer empathic and compassionate responses from others, seeing these responses as more helpful and more genuine than sympathy responses. And so we walk with people. And so we allow ourselves to be with people. And that's my call to us this week. She goes on to talk about boundaries and comparative suffering. Boundaries, about how boundaries are loving ourselves and loving other people at the same time as we have good boundaries. And comparative suffering is not getting into competition. Well, you know you got it bad, but I have it worse, and here's why. That's not compassion either, and I don't even have time to dive into those wonderful experiences. But I'm calling us to deep, profound compassion and empathy this week, to truly practice what Brené is talking about. She says that the number one question she gets from people when she talks about this is, how can I be empathic with someone if I've not had their experience? And she says that's a great question because it exposes the dangerous myth about empathy. We're not relating to experience. We're connecting to what someone is feeling about their experience. And she says she'll ask her audiences, and I ask you, raise your hand, and if you're watching online, maybe give a little thumbs up or say yes in the chat you're chatting on. She says, I will ask, raise your hand if you know joy. Raise your hand if you know hurt. Raise your hand if you know heartbreak. Raise your hand if you know shame. Raise your hand if you know grief. Raise your hand if you know love. And she'll say, by raising your hand, you're qualified. You're qualified. We are all qualified to walk with people, to stand with people, to be a compassionate presence, and to open our hearts. This is the atlas of the heart. And we're going to close this time today by doing a loving kindness meditation. I'm inviting us to go within, to get quiet. The loving kindness meditation is a Buddhist tradition, and I invite you to practice it with me quietly. And so as we breathe in the very breath of life and allow ourselves to feel the heart of compassion opening up within us, I invite us, first of all, to make a commitment to ourselves, to be more awakened to our own feeling and emotional state throughout our life, and to allow ourselves to feel those feelings. It seems so often like people are pushing them away, and what happens is that they are imploding or exploding because of that imbalance. And this moment is an opportunity to make a new commitment to ourselves. If I recognize that I'm not feeling my feelings and I'm imploding inside myself, I might be self-destructive. If I'm not feeling my feelings, I might be exploding all over people that I say I love and care about. And we know that this is not a balanced way to live, and we know that this is not compassion, and that if we are feeling like that, that there are beings everywhere who will stand with us compassionately. They might be friends and loved ones and family that we trust. They might even be professionals, such as practitioner prayer partners, therapists, counselors. There's help if we don't know the way. If we've never traversed the map, there's help. And one of the first things we do is just to be compassionate towards ourselves. And so this loving kindness meditation invites just that. And so I invite us to say silently to ourselves these phrases. So imagine looking into a mirror right now, looking into your own eyes and saying these words. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease, and may I be happy. Just breathe that in. And now we imagine and feel ourselves here in this beautiful teal sanctuary with beings all around us, those of us who are watching from home. And we send our love and our light to every person who's here with us. And we say quietly, silently to ourselves, to everyone here in this service, may you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. And may you be happy. And I now invite us to imagine someone that we have a challenge with. Maybe it's someone who hasn't been compassionate towards us, or who hasn't been friendly, or someone we don't know what to say to them in our desire to be more compassionate or empathic. And as we get their face in our awareness, we silently say to them, may you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. And may you be happy. And we end our practice this evening by bringing to mind someone we love dearly. Someone for whom we have a great ease with having compassionate and acceptance. And as we see their beautiful face in our awareness, we also say these words to them. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. And may you be happy. Let the compassion flow as we go forth into the week ahead. We are a beneficial presence. We are loving kindness. Thank you, life. And so it is. Thank you for practicing that practice with us. And Kent played that song perfectly. Appreciate that very much, Kent. And we're moving into a time here in our service where we invite the circulation of good through tithes and offerings. You can do that in a number of ways. We always have our text to giving open. We always have our website going. For those of you who are in the room, we've got containers out in the lobby. For those of you online, you can go to the website or you can always mail your gift in. We appreciate any and all gifts. It all matters and it all invites us to be in the flow. So with that, please say after me, this gift I give is God in action. I am in the flow of good, of abundance, of life. Thank you, life. And so it is. And now more time in the band.
Dr. Michelle found this song for me a few years ago, and so I don't sing it very often, but it was perfect for this service. So thank you, Dr. Michelle.
We must all unite, for we are one creation. We must join the fight, together we are strong. We must do what's right in every situation. Love each other's lives as we would do our own. Just think twice before you cast your stone at someone's soul. It's their life, so the choice is theirs and theirs alone. We're not here to judge, we are here to love. There's no room for hate. We are just one human race. We must rise above. We are here to love. There's no time to waste anymore. We must all unite. There is no segregation. When you've seen the light, there's nowhere else to go. And with peace in sight, no walls can separate us. We would be as one because the earth's our home. Just think twice before you cast your stone at someone's soul. It's their life, and so the choice is theirs and theirs alone. We're not here to judge, we are here to love. There's no room for hate, for we are just one human judge. We are here to love. There's no room for hate. We are all one human race. We must rise above. We are here to love. There's no time to waste anymore. We're not here to judge. We are here to love. There's no room for hate. For we are just one human race. We must rise above. We are here to love. There's no time to waste anymore.
Beautiful, Tom. Thank you so much. That's a great, you sing it so well. You sing it better than the guy who sang it. Thank you, thank you. Hey, come back this next week. We want you to know that next Wednesday night we'll be talking more about Brené Brown. We'll go into another chapter of hers, and so I hope you'll be with us. Sunday, that wonderful guy, Dr. Barry, is speaking, so I'm so looking forward to his talk, and it's also Pride Parade, so a number of us will be coming to you from the Pride Parade on Sunday morning, so we will see you then. And if you need some prayer support, any prayer support at all, we've got some practitioners down front. They've got their stoles on. They'll be happy to pray with those of you in the room before you leave. You can leave a prayer request on the counter out there in the lobby, and you can always go to milehighchurch.org and make a prayer request there 24/7. We're here for you. And so now, as we close out our evening, I invite you to stand up and sing along with us as we release and let go.
I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. There's no more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Yes, I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my